On Tuesday evening, Arsenal will be playing our second Champions League game of the season in our first Champions League away game of the season against French team RC Lens. Now, a little fun fact is that this will be our second ever time playing Lens in a game. We played them once in a friendly in 2016 where we drew 1-1, but it's going to be our first competitive game ever against RC Lens. Very, very interesting piece of information there if you guys didn't know. Now, we are going to be coming into this game obviously on a perfect performance against Bournemouth away. We came out 4-0 victors. Havertz got his first goal. We looked really good, really like we just controlled the game. And before that, we drew with Spurs. We beat Brentford. We won our first Champions League game against PSV, where again, that was pretty much a perfect 4-0 performance again. So we're going to be coming in, I would say, in really good form against Lens. It's our first away game in the Champions League. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how we perform, how the French crowd maybe, I don't know, changes the way we play. I don't see that happening, but it's going to be quite interesting again to see some of our younger players or our less experienced players, you know, Bukayo Saka, your Ben Whites, making their first away Champions League debut. So it's going to be quite interesting. Now, obviously, I spoke about our form coming into this game, and Lens, their form coming into this game, I don't know, it's iffy. Their first Champions League game, they drew 1-1 with Sevilla away, which, as we know, is a difficult game. The Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan, especially in the Champions League and European competitions, obviously the Europa League, they're very up for it all the time. So to go away in their first Champions League game and go get a draw 1-1 with Sevilla, I don't think that was a bad result. Before that, though, they lost 1-0 to Metz and 3-0 to Monaco. But since the draw, they've beat Toulouse 2-1 and beat Strasbourg 1-0. That's why I think their form's a bit iffy. In the past 5 games, they've won 2, lost 2, and drawn 1. It's a bit iffy. So we don't know what Lens we're going to be getting. I'm sure they're going to be up for it like they were against Sevilla. And they, in the last 3 games, haven't lost a game. So I don't know. It's really iffy. We don't really know how they're going to come out. I think they're going to be good. I think they're going to be energetic. It is their Champions League game at home, their first one. And it's against Arsenal, so they can be up for it for sure. It's just about whether or not we get the good Lens, the one that came second last season in Ligue 1, or if it's this Lens, the ones that sit in 15th right now in Ligue 1. I don't know. It's going to be quite interesting to see. Now, going into injuries and suspensions, we'll start off with Arsenal. We obviously still have Timber out, and Thomas Partey will be out. The rest, there's no official word on what's happening. Martinelli, he could be fit. Trossard, I believe, was on the bench against Bournemouth. Vieira was on the bench and came off the bench. I don't think we're too bad on injury. Obviously, we haven't got official word on Saka, which makes me believe that Saka is probably okay and he should probably play against Lens. So injuries and suspensions, we've looked worse. I think we're obviously, besides Timber and Partey, I don't see any injuries unless something were to happen between now and tomorrow night. We should be fine as far as that goes. As for Lens, they only have 4 official injuries. They have a goalkeeper, Cabo, a midfielder, and Haidara, a defender for them, and then Costa, another midfielder for them. Some decent players for them. I don't know if that keeper is their first choice or second choice, but he has played a decent amount of games for Lens. As for injuries for them, I think they should be fine. It's obviously unfortunate, but no team is coming in fully fit to any games this season, especially with the jam-packed schedule that a lot of the clubs have. So I don't think it's too bad, injuries and suspensions for either team, to be fair, which is good. Hopefully both teams can field a really strong team, and we can see a good game of football, with obviously hoping that Arsenal come out as victors on Tuesday night. Now, going on to one of my favorite parts to talk about, one of my favorite talking points is the starting 11 that we're probably going to see against Lens. It's going to be quite interesting. Look, I think if just Partey and Timber are injured like is reported and everyone else is fit, I think it's going to depend on how much we want to rotate and how much legs we want to save for the game coming up against Manchester City, which obviously we deem as far more important than this upcoming game against Lens. Now, let me just preface this as I always do. The starting 11 that I'm going to say is not the starting 11 I predict. It's just what I would decide if I was the manager. And obviously I'm not, and I'm very far away from being that, and Arteta knows way more than me, but it's just my opinion on who I think should start in the starting 11. We're starting goal. I'm going to go with Aaron Ramsdale. I keep saying I want Ramsdale to start, but I genuinely think the game's coming up. I understand if Raya does start, but I would personally have Ramsdale start. He had a really good performance against Brentford. Yes, Raya had a good performance against Bournemouth, but I think Raya starts against Man City. Therefore, give Ramsdale his first Champions League game of his career and let him start against Lens. I do think, though, realistically, that Raya is probably going to start against Lens and Man City, but hey, this is what I would choose. I would have Ramsdale start. Left back, I would have Zinchenko play. He was so good against Bournemouth. He is so good defensively, offensively, with the ball, without the ball. He is a heartbeat to the team, especially to the midfield when he's sitting in that midfield spot with Declan Rice. Crucial player to us. For me, Zinchenko starts at left back. Right back, look, I love Ben White. He had an awesome performance against Bournemouth. Could have been a man of the match for some of you. But I just think I want to rest him. Man City is a huge game. We need him fit. We need him ready to go. And also he starts against Brentford. He started against Bournemouth. He starts to damn near every game this season. So I would rest him, give him a little rest, and let Tomiyasu play at right back against Lens. Look, Tomiyasu had a good performance against Brentford. He came off the bench against Bournemouth and looked solid as well. For me, he's my starting right back against Lens. Man City, though, Ben White starts for me for short right back. The two centre backs. Quite interesting who we're gonna start, who I think we should start. I believe Gabriel should start. He's played League on so many times. And Saliba, I am resting. We saw what happened when Saliba got injured in a kind of worthless game. What happened to our season last season. We can't afford that again against Lens. Saliba rests for me. Maybe we'll have Kiwior start. Kiwior had a good game against Brentford. He had that save on the line against Brentford. So for me, Kiwior starts with Gabriel. I don't know if the balance is going to work because there's two left-footed centre backs, but I mean, I'm not the manager. This is what I would decide. For me, Kiwior and Gabriel start in centre back. CDM, as much as I love Declan Rice, same type of thinking as with Saliba and Ben White. I would rather rest him and have him fully fit for Man City. If he does start, I play him 60 minutes and take him off regardless what the score is like. But for me, I would start Jorginho in CDM. Jorginho has actually proven quite decent besides that Tottenham game this season. I don't think he's had any other bad games besides that Tottenham performance. He looked good against Brentford. He started against Brentford. I think he played the whole night against Brentford. He came on against Bournemouth. For me, I'm starting him against Lens. The midfield, Vieira starts for me. Vieira's getting a little bit shaky now with his form. Obviously, he started off the season on a tear, but since the Tottenham game and this Brentford and Bournemouth game, he just didn't look as good. I mean, he didn't play against Brentford, I beg your pardon. So it's just the Tottenham and Bournemouth game. He just hasn't looked as good. I would start him against Lens, let him recover his form, hopefully, and they can start him against City if he does well enough. But I would have Vieira start, and maybe between Havertz and Smith Rowe, depending on if we're trying to rest or not, but we can't rest everyone, so I'm going to give Havertz the nod. Havertz and Vieira start midfield for me, although you guys know I really love Smith Rowe, and I wouldn't mind Smith Rowe starting over Vieira or Havertz, but for me, I'm having Jorginho, Vieira, and Havertz start in my midfield. Up top, depends on what Saka's feeling like. I don't want to risk him against Lens, but if he's feeling okay, I'm still starting Saka. You just have to, especially with how good he can be. Saka starts for me. Up top, Jesus, and left wing, Reiss Nelson has to start. Reiss Nelson just has to start. Really good performance against Brentford. Came on against Bournemouth, didn't have much to do, but he did what he had to do. He did quite well. For me, the front three I'm starting is Gabby Jesus, Bukayo Saka, and left wing Reiss Nelson. Now I know you guys are saying, where's Odegaard? Same thing with Declan Rice, Saliba, and Ben White. They need rest. They are so crucial. All four of them are so crucial to how we play. They need to rest. We need to make sure that they're fully fit and they're raring to go against Man City. I wouldn't mind if any four of them start, but I think then they have to come off quite early, especially Odegaard. Arteta doesn't like taking him off, obviously, because he's our captain, but I think he does need rest. And I don't think this is a bad game to rest him, especially if we start Vieira in his position, because Vieira can do a good enough job, especially against a 15th in the table Lens. But yeah, that's my starting 11. Let me know, what would you change? How do you guys see the game playing out tomorrow night? Who do you think should come in? Who should come out of the starting 11? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.